That's there's a lot of different ways you can go about working out, and utilizing yourself and human movement patterns is a great way to gain strength and lose weight, and just rebalance yourself, which is like a very important part of overall well-being and just living well. So I'm gonna go off to the first slide. And so what I have here is a picture of David with his Greek god body, okay, and a gymnast. So the reason I show both these pictures is because the body types are very similar, and they're built from similar training methods, and there's thousands of years between them, and there's still this consistency of results, and I'm sure everyone sees this body and is like, wow, that's like something to look up to, something you can strive for. Obviously this is a male. Females, I'm sure you don't want to look like that, so which is totally understandable. So the main point being, this applies to females just as well. Understanding movement, building strength, and being fit within your own self. So talking a little bit about calisthenics. Does anyone here know what calisthenics is?
Negative.
Christina, do you know?
Something about your own body weight.
Okay, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
So basically what calisthenics is, it's body weight training. It means anything from like high level gymnastics like you see in the Olympics to doing push-ups or squats or pull-ups. Some pretty basic things that aren't easy, but stuff you can practice, and I'm sure if any of you have trained with shot, I'm sure you've done some of those movements. And so calisthenics comes from the Greek words kalos, stenos. And what kalos means is beautiful in Greek, and stenos means strength. Okay, so combined it means beautiful strength. And it actually refers to two different things. First, the beautiful strength aspect of the look. Okay, so the physical image that this type of fitness can build for yourself. And on top of that, the movements themselves can be considered beautiful. Like if you guys have ever, once again, seen gymnastics on the Olympics, they do some pretty crazy stuff, and it's all with just their bodies and a simple tool, like for example a pull-up bar or parallel bars, which is two bars that you hold on to like this. And with just that one tool, they have so many options of doing these crazy strength moves. And once again, the end result is looking like this. If you do these cool things with your body, you're going to start to feel better, look better, become stronger, burn more fat, and you're just going to become closer and closer to the natural athlete inside of all of us. All right? We as humans were meant to move, and so my next picture here is, if you guys take a look. So we got a picture of Shad right here. No, so my reason for showing you this, if you really compare it to the two body types in the last picture, one was from thousands of years ago. The guy next to him, the gymnast, was from, just like recently, and they have the same look. This bodybuilder right here has a very unnatural build. Hello.
Hi, Carol. So sorry.
Welcome. We're just talking a little bit about fitness and calisthenics, how it applies to your body and movement. So you're not too far behind. Anyways, so what I was talking about, this guy right here is a bodybuilder, and the whole point of bodybuilding is to literally grow your muscles as big as humanly possible and having symmetry on both sides of your body. So for example, if this guy was in a bodybuilding competition, he would be judged on how big his pecs are and how even they are. Okay, they're going to split your body in half and compare sides. And so the reason for showing you this is it takes a crazy amount of time, dedication, supplements, potentially illegal drugs, and a lot of other things to get to this. And I think all of us in this room could agree that None of us are trying to look like that guy. So I don't want you to freak out like, wait, is this what Chad's training program is all about? No, it's not to look like this. This is an example of an extreme case of building your muscles to a point where it's not natural. And so, what was that?
You can't wear clothing.
You can't wear clothing.
You can't wear pants. You can't.
How is this guy supposed to find jeans?
Jeans, exactly.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Debbie. So,
Skinny jeans are totally out.
yeah, he might be able to fit him on his lower leg. So if you notice, there's some things about his body as compared to the other guys, like the super broad shoulders, the huge pecs, the huge lats. Once again, this is more of a real life look. If you saw, anyone who looks like this, like, oh yeah, they work out. And then you see this guy, you're just like, oh my God, maybe he should stop going to the gym. It's a little scary and intimidating. So my first point here is building relative strength. All right, and applying that to body weight. If you think, what is relative strength? Relative strength is how much you can lift applied to your own body. Okay, so for example, if you had a person who weighs 150 pounds and another person who weighs 200 pounds, and those two people could lift the same amount of weight, the smaller guy has more relative strength because he can move the same amount and he weighs less. So there's more efficiency there, okay? The type of workouts it takes to build yourself to look like this, in addition to all the stuff I mentioned, like, potentially illegal drugs and tons of supplements and eating 5,000 plus calories a day on a schedule, is very stressful, and it takes a lot of time. So taking it on the other side of having an efficient workout where your body is learning to move through a wide range of motion and more so having fun with it. Like, picture yourself on a playground doing swinging across a monkey bar, okay? That, you're moving your body, and I guarantee you, if I was to take anyone here, put you up in a swinging monkey bar competition, you do better than this guy, okay? Because his strength in that case is going to work against him. Chances are he can't put his hands over his head. His muscles are in the way, okay, of being a normal human functioning person, all right? And so controlling your body versus moving a heavy foreign object. Once again, this guy's whole goal is to get big, and he's not necessarily an Olympic powerlifter where it's a sport built around moving an impressive amount of strength. This guy just has to get away with looking like this. It doesn't matter if he's strong, healthy, none of that matters. It's just how he looks, because that's what the whole sport of bodybuilding is based on. Okay, so relative strength, using the gymnast as an example, has a much smaller physique. They have tons of definition, and they are able to do incredible things with just their body weight, and chances are they're a lot stronger than this guy. You put him in a strength competition, the smaller gymnast, probably around my height, up against this guy, who knows how big he is, but he looks like a monster. He's not going to actually do physically well in certain cases, especially talking about like sports performance and just overall moving well. It looks extremely uncomfortable, and it takes a lot of work, and basically have to be at the gym 8 hours a day to look like this guy. So yeah, don't think that this is for you. This is showing an extreme case of kind of what I'm against, and
This is more of an art thing.
yeah,
I
and
mean, if
so
you really think about
you
it,
can really look at it. You can look at different cases as an art form. Like gymnastics. When you see guys on the gymnastic rings doing stuff, it's very artful. And this is a respected art at the same time. It takes a lot of work and dedication to get here. But once again, this guy's job is to look like this. We're trying to live normal lives, healthy lives. We have to get in our cars. We gotta go grocery shopping.
He's not driving a smart car.
This guy's not in a smart car. That's for sure. So this brings up my next point, and it's the resting squat, okay? So if you guys see this variety of pictures here, we got a young kid, we got this old dude who's doing the third world squat. Just a joke. And then I thought this one was cute because the little monkey, orangutan, and the girl, look how happy she is, and she's squatting. She's exercising and she's happy. All right, that's what I'm talking about. So here's my first point. If you look at this little kid, he's in a deep squat, and my point of bringing up the kid as an example is, if I was to ask anyone here to do a deep squat, there might be some of us that would have trouble, for example, sitting down like this comfortably, like I am. I train this, I practice this a lot in my daily routine, so sitting here like this is very comfortable for me, okay? And it's a very natural movement. So this kid, for example, if you really think about, try to picture yourself around little kids. I'm sure all of us have been. If you ever notice a kid go to pick something up off the floor, typically they don't bend over to do it. They sit down very easily like this. And what's even more cool about it is no one taught the kid how to do this. It's innately part of being a human, is knowing how to squat like this. Our body naturally moves through this range of motion. And as a kid, you don't really have muscle imbalances. You don't have all these things like a job, sitting at a desk, that basically wrecks your body yet. So the kid starts off with a nice, perfect body, and sitting in this squat position is fairly easy. And once again, like I said, it wasn't taught. It's just naturally part of being human. And I hear a lot in the gym of like, because I'm the guy that's talking about, or I see people working out, and I like to help, and me and Shad talk about this all the time. It's like, man, there's a lot of people trying to squat a lot of weight, but they're not going down all the way. And it's an important part of the movement. If you're only doing half of it, well, then you're literally doing half of it. You're not doing all the work you could be doing in the same amount of time. And so, there's tons of excuses like, well, I'm too old for that. My knees can't handle that. Oh, it's not safe to go all the way down. That's why I have this picture of this old guy here, because basically, in America, when I picture an old guy, he's kind of shriveled up in a chair, and people take care of him, okay? As sad as that is, we can fix that, all right? You don't have to be, stuck in a chair the rest of your life. And this is why the squat is huge, of huge importance, okay? So think about your typical day. The average person, we're going to talk about working at an office. So you wake up from, let's just say you got a good night's sleep, 8 hours laying down, okay? So you didn't really do anything active. Now you're getting in your car, whether it's a 5-minute, 15-minute, 2-hour drive to work. Now you're sitting, okay? Once again, you're sitting and your body's not working. And then you sit at your desk for 8 hours. There's another 8 hours of sitting. And then we get off of work, we get back in our car. Once again, we're sitting, okay? And then we go home, maybe we've had a long day, and now we're sitting on the couch. And don't feel bad about sitting right now, because you guys are listening to me. So you don't have to feel bad about sitting, okay? So until it's over with, then I'm going to make you all do some squats. I'm just kidding, not really. We're not going to make you work out today. That's up to Shad. And so, so picture after work, you go home, and you're like, man, I've had a long, rough day. So now you're sitting in your couch watching TV, and we break up our day into 3 to 8 hour pieces. It's 8 hours sleeping, not doing anything. 8 hours at work in the chair, once again, not doing anything. Now you're at home because you've had a long day of work. Now you're resting, once again, in a chair. All right, so what if we were to replace some of that sitting in a chair with this squat, okay? The benefits are huge, and some of the reasons why it would benefit us is because picture yourself sitting in a chair, or you guys could use me as an example. Okay, when I sit down in this chair, my whole entire muscular system is basically turning off, okay? So my hip flexors, this muscle group right here, is contracted, and it's what creates this L shape from my torso to my legs, okay? I have the back of this chair supporting my torso, which my abs typically should do, and regardless of being able to see them or not, we are human, we all have abs, okay? They may be covered, believe me, they're there, okay? We all have the same body, it just looks a little different, okay? You take away all the other stuff, and we have the same muscular system. Okay, so once again, your abs, your core is what holds up your torso and stabilizes your spine. And sitting in this chair, I have this backrest doing that for me. So now my abs are off, my shoulder starts around, and this is pretty comfortable because I don't have to do anything to sit here. So I can drive like this, I can type like this. You can do a lot of things from here, and it's very normal to be in that position. Okay. Now let's take it to the other end of the spectrum. I'm talking about our seated squat. If I was to hang out on the floor, I can't just turn my body off because if I do, I fall. Okay. So I have to actively be flat on my feet, and my core is working. My legs are engaged because it's keeping me upright from falling over. Okay. So the difference being, when you're sitting in a chair, you have a muscle group right here, your hip flexors, and they're working hard to just stay in that contracted position. Now this becomes normal. Your muscles become shortened, and this is where a lot of problems start to occur, like lower back pain and stuff like that. So these muscles, when they want to lengthen, when you're standing up, they don't have that ability anymore because they've become shortened from sitting in a chair so long. Okay, as compared to in a squat, it's more natural. Even though you're in more of that contracted position, you have other muscle groups working, so it completes the circuit basically. It keeps you balanced, and it doesn't offset your muscular system. And so if you were to sit like this a minute a day, or even a couple hours a day, you're going to feel a huge benefit. And you can start with a minute, and over time you can work your way up. And once again, to me, fitness is about sustainability, being in it the rest of your life, not like, oh, I have a wedding in a month. That right there, I'm a personal trainer if you guys don't already know, and I hear that excuse, or not excuse, I hear that reason. It's very common, like, oh yeah, I got a wedding in a month, I want to get it. It's like, cool, I'll help you, but what are you gonna do after that month? You know, it's really important to maintain this. Some of you are laughing.
Well, you never throw away your fat jeans.
I'm not judging you for this, but typically your lifestyle is a byproduct, or your body is a byproduct of your lifestyle, okay? So your body shows your lifestyle. And if you sit in a chair a lot, then it shows, and it creates tons of imbalances. So just by incorporating the squat into your life, you can see a lot of benefit. It's really going to help you be more comfortable with yourself. It's going to build body awareness, and it's going to actually eliminate a lot of issues people have, like lower back pain. You go to the doctor, they give you pills, they tell you to rest. It's like, wait a second, I've already been resting. I slept, I sat in the car, I sat at work, now I'm sitting at home. I've had plenty of rest. Now what are these pills going to do for me? It's going to take away the pain, but it's not addressing the actual problem, okay? So starting with a squat is a great way to do it. And once again, look how happy this lady is. She doesn't realize she's doing anything good for herself. She's hanging out with the orangutan, right? This little kid's picking up a rock. He's already on his way for a healthy lifestyle. Hopefully he doesn't get stuck in the trap of sitting in a chair, all right? And do any of you guys have questions about the squat? How you can apply it to yourself? All right, think about it. Shad, you got a question?
Give us 2 things that we could do while we're in a squat during our daily lives. Or just a handful of things.
Okay, so 2 examples, like how could we apply this in our day?
Like you said that we could sit down, we could do a lot from seating. What are some things that we could do, like maybe text or something? Like what can we do while in a squat for that minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
Okay, cool. So picture yourself, if you had a desk, obviously your chair is a little bit higher than if you were to squat. I can't imagine anyone's going to want to go to work like this. It's pretty embarrassing. So a few things you can do is starting at home, just testing out if you can squat. If you can't, maybe you need to learn this position first. And there's a few different ways you can do that, and that's kind of going more into the training aspect. So to answer Shad's question, you can really pick anything, whether you want to test your comfort level in public, or if you just want to try it at home and watch TV. So you think about, oh, I don't have time to work out. If you watch TV, which probably all of us do, you have time to work out, okay? And you can work out while you're watching TV. So go ahead and try to maybe test yourself. All right, during the commercials, I'm going to sit in a squat. Or the opposite, maybe during the show, I'm going to sit in the squat, and in the commercials. Yeah, you know, so you can pick, you know, you start slow, and it's important to not overdo it. So you can pick something in a situation where you feel comfortable one that comes to mind for me is standing in line. Okay, we stand in line a lot, and especially in America, the seated squat position isn't as common because we've kind of lost it with being in such an industrialized part of the world. We don't poop like this. In a lot of the world, they do. People cook like this. People rest like this. So what I like to do when I'm in public and in line, I like to squat down. You know, let's just say you're at Costco getting a hot dog for $1.50, all right? And there's a huge line. Everyone knows that takes forever. So I like to squat down. And I'll be the first person to say that I want someone to ask me, like, why are you on the floor? It's like, well, then I kind of spark this situation. I can talk to them about the benefits of squatting and how they can apply it to their life. So back again to Chad's question, you can really try this any part of the day, and especially in a time when you feel comfortable. I like to do it in public because it directly relates to my work. I can talk to someone about fitness and maybe snatch them as a client. Okay, so I challenge you to pick one part of your day that you can do it in. Okay, so one part of your day.
What about those balls that you can sit on? Because you sink down in those.
Oh, the like Swiss ball.
Yeah. Because my old the owner of the company I used to work for, that's what he used at his desk. He
Okay.
didn't really sit in a chair.
So
He sat on
this is a good. I'm glad you brought this up. So if you guys remember what I was talking about, the chair basically takes away all the hard work in sitting, which is great. You're trying to sit down, you don't want to work for it, right? The ball, what she's talking about, everyone's familiar with the yoga ball, right? If you sit on one of those, you really have to work for it. So that's a great way to even get yourself kind of going in the right direction. Eliminate your chair. Now you're using a yoga ball, and you really have to actively sit there. And that eliminates a lot of the problems associated with sitting.
Because he would allow if you wanted to bring one, you could. It wasn't like you was allowed to bring it.
Yeah, and to be the first person, it can be a little, you know, like, well, I'm going to be, but you might start a trend at your office or whatnot. So, yeah, you're not necessarily in a deep squat, but you are actively sitting there. Your core's engaged. It's going to remind you to sit taller, and there's tons of benefits in that. So, yeah, I think that's great if you incorporate something to help yourself away from just sitting like a blob in a chair, okay? And so my next point is overhead mobility, okay? And so I think there's two things that really define human movement, and it would be hip mobility, so your hips properly working. So if you think where your leg attaches to your hip, it has a lot of motion that can happen there, okay? Same with your shoulders. So these two things, you know, when it comes to running, jumping, handstanding, swimming, your hips and your shoulders are involved with all this type of movement, and without those joints, we would be pretty stiff. Okay, so picture not being able to use your hips and just trying to walk, and you'd look like the Tin Man, kind of. So let's talk about overhead mobility. The three pictures that I have here are just typical daily activities like cooking, sitting at your computer, and driving. So if you notice, our arms are directly in front of us in each of these instances, and I'm sure there's plenty more, okay? And the problem with that is your lats, which are your primary upper body pulling muscle, are contracted in this position, okay? So they're more so in an active position, and they don't ever really get a chance to stretch. So really, I want everyone to take a moment and really think about your average day. And split up, it's 24 hours. Out of that 24 hours, how long are your hands overhead?
When I'm running from the cops.
I got a 0. Do you run like that?
I run from the cops, yeah. Because I know they're going to catch me because I don't run.
Okay,
and I have to put my hands up anyways.
Debbie does it when she runs from the cops, which apparently is every day. So she's got great shoulder mobility. I got a 0 over here, and not to put you on the spot, but.
Oh no, I mean on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays I do.
Oh yeah, from training? You train with Shad?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's eliminate that and like back to your average day, right? Without your trainer, it's not happening.
When you
Yeah, when I scratch my head.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, it's happening a little bit, right? But if you take if we look at an hour or even half hour is 2% of your day. So if you're doing it for like 15 seconds washing your hair, I can't even give you a number on how small that is. Like my math isn't that good, but it's definitely 0.00% of your day. Okay, and that's not going to add any flexibility benefits to your body. So you think, well, what does it matter if I can't put my arms overhead or can or can't? What does it matter? Because once again, in your daily activity, this is where your arms typically need to be. Okay? So the reason I bring this up is because it creates imbalances. Our daily activities, we get good at them, and these movements aren't necessarily bad, but our body gets used to it. And if we have if we're able to move through all these ranges of motion and we only do a little bit of that, now we're limiting what our bodies are capable of. And so just by incorporating things, you know, working with a trainer, like doing pull-ups or kettlebell swings, you're now spending more time with your arms overhead. Your lat muscles, which are really important to being able to move around, are now having the chance to lengthen and contract properly, and so you're going to realign yourself and see some comfort. You know, you might notice your posture gets better, and a lot of different benefits come from it. Okay? And so going a little bit further, kind of into what I do, I like to teach handstands, and I tell people this: if you can stand on your feet, which all of us here can, you can stand on your hands. Okay, and it's like, whoa, that's a pretty powerful phrase. You're gonna go ahead and say I can stand on my hands, and I believe so. So once again, if you can stand on your feet, you can stand on your hands, and here's why. Structurally, your body is fully capable, but your muscular system might not be ready for it. So for example, if our bodies are trained to have our arms in front of us, then how am I supposed to stand on my hands with my arms down here? If I can't comfortably have my arms overhead and in a very strong position where gravity is pushing me down, then something like that's just not going to happen. It's going to be very difficult. And so by incorporating some overhead stretches, doing pull-ups, or simply hanging from a bar, we can start to rebalance our body and bring it back to a position of homeostasis, to where we can really do anything with ourselves. Because if we're stuck in our movements from our average day, then once again, like I said, we're very limited in what we can physically accomplish. So I'm going to go on to my next slide, and here's a picture of me standing on one hand. This is something I'm very passionate about. I've spent years practicing this, and just to give you guys an example of like talking about earlier, like, oh, I have a wedding in a month, I want to get fit. It's like, well, is that your goal? And how is that going to serve you the rest of your life? So I actually owe me getting the fitness to Shad, because we lived together for a long time. I used to talk about how much I hated working out. Even in high school, we wrestled together, and I was the guy that was always just like, man, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. Okay? There was nothing I hated more than working out, and it was funny that we just talked about it recently. There was just one day that, I saw Shad working out on our staircase, doing workouts in the living room, videotaping himself, and I thought, even foam rolling on the floor. Is everyone familiar with foam rolling? So basically it's like, a cylindrical piece of foam and you're rolling out. I used to think to myself when I was watching TV, like, look how, sorry for my language, look how fucking stupid this guy looks. Rolling around in the living room, like, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? This is weird. I don't feel comfortable right now. You're in your underwear.
I was just gonna say, must be close. Underwear.
So I felt really uncomfortable. And so I feel like now I can connect with people. People might see me and they see what I do for work and like, oh, you've always done that. You've always been fit. I haven't. I wasn't overweight, so that's not an issue that I faced myself. But I didn't enjoy working out, and I didn't understand and see the benefits of it. And I was the first guy to hate on it and talk shit. Okay, so foam rolling is a whole other conversation for another day, which can really help us achieve greater ranges of motion, like helping us get into our squat by loosening up our legs. We can get better overhead mobility by loosening up our lats, and so on. So what I wrote here is the mastery of one's body starts with hip and shoulder mobility. So this, I thought this single arm handstand was a good example. The straddle, which is basically like doing a split, it's not a full split, helps with this movement. It allows for a better efficiency of the movement itself. But if you have a hard time doing the straddle, it's going to work against you and make the move itself harder. So the straddle is supposed to make the move easier, but if it's hard to straddle, then now it's making it harder. So it's like, what's the point? So that's why my main point is hip and shoulder mobility have a crucial part in any type of human movement. You really have, if you can get the best movement from these joints, then it's going to set you up for having a great life and quality of life. And I think that, to me, is the most important part of fitness. It's not about how you look. It's not about all the different fads and all that. It's about quality of life. So if you're moving well, chances are you're feeling well and you're also looking good. So I think having a great body is just a byproduct of putting in your time over years. And I know that might sound like, oh man, years? We all have plenty of years to go, okay? So if you want to get fit, you have the rest of your life to do it. Not to use it as an excuse, but to use it as a sustainable time frame to achieve those goals, okay? Coming back to what I was mentioning earlier, when I first learned the handstand, when Chad got me into fitness, maybe within the first 6 months, I saw someone doing a single arm handstand, and I was like, whoa, I want to be able to do that in 5 to 10 years, okay? And that sounds like a crazy, like, whoa, 5 to 10 years? I'm proud to say that I did it in 5. I achieved my goal of comfortably standing on one hand in 5 years, okay? And this took a lot of practice, a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and a lot of seated squats, gaining my mobility, also practicing my overhead mobility. And so what I put down here is, how does a deep squat, pull-ups, rows, push-ups, and dips serve me? So for example, I showed you guys what a deep squat is. I'm sure everyone knows what pull-ups are. It's an overhead pull, so we're pulling in this motion, okay? A row is a pull in this motion. A push-up is in the same motion, but now you're pushing the opposite way. And a dip is a push in this direction, okay? So it's kind of covering a few different aspects of movement, very simple exercises that kind of hit a lot of different areas, okay? And I think these movements alone can really set you up for a comfortable body. And what I mean by that is, if you get good at all of these movements right here, you're going to feel great. Like if you can do a deep squat, if you can do a pull-up, you can do a row, push-ups, dips, I can guarantee you that you're going to feel good about yourself, and you're going to feel strong, and people are going to stop and ask you, like, what are you doing? And you can tell them, I'm doing these simple movements. And I'm very into the whole body weight aspect of training, and I'm not against lifting weights or different methods of training. Me and Chad have different methods of training, but we still encompass the same idea of human movement, proper movement, and having fun with it. So that's why Chad has a lot of unconventional methods of training, and that's kind of what got me into doing what I do. I kind of found my own passion with fitness, and it all comes down to moving and moving well. And even though we have different methods of teaching it, we both teach the same thing. We try to get people healthy by moving well. And I think this is my last slide. Yeah, so I just wanted to end it off on that. Once again, I'm going to rephrase this. If you are moving well, chances are you're living well. Okay? So I really want you guys to think about that. If you're moving well, chances are you're living well. And I'm going to end it off on that and hand it over to Shad. If you guys want to see me do any cool tricks like a backflip or anything, you can go ahead and say it right now.
Handstand.
Handstand?
One arm.
On one arm.
Clap. Jump on it, jump.
No.
And
Wow.
there we go.
Yeah.